My entitled parents guilt-trip me into buying a house with them because they feel it's my obligation to pay them back and contribute to their retirement. But my experience with them has been nothing but toxic, as they constantly put me down and use me for my money and my time. And right about now, I feel incredibly trapped and very stuck. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so when I was younger, my family and I grew up on low income. My dad was the only income earner, and he worked a blue-collar job, while my mom was a stay-at-home mom. In 2022, I got guilt-tripped into buying a house with my parents that they simply couldn't afford on their own. I was pressured to sign as a co-borrower since my parents could not get approved for the loan with my dad's low income. I was paying the entire mortgage since the mortgage is more than my dad's entire monthly salary. They keep saying they sacrificed so much for me by raising me, and now it's my obligation to pay them back by buying them a house, paying their mortgage, and contributing to their retirement. I've been feeling resentful of all of my friends who can live at home rent-free and have parents who don't treat them like an ATM or retirement plan in the future. I can't afford to move out and pay rent in addition to the mortgage, and I've been feeling hopeless and very stuck. I can't afford to max out my 401k each year, and I'm putting less into savings because of this burden they put on me. I have goals of moving out and buying a house in the future, and I feel like I could never achieve that now. I feel resentful of my parents for putting me in this situation as a result of their poor financial decisions in the past. We previously had a house with a mortgage that they could afford, but they wanted to move to this house because of nicer weather and the backyard. But it's all at a huge financial cost. It's a house that I didn't even want, but my parents kept saying this house is their dream house and the old house makes them feel down, and I would be responsible for their mood and poor health. They keep reminding me of how much time, energy, and resources they used to raise me, and now it's my duty to pay them back for all that they have done. Living at home is honestly horrible and contributes to my sense of hopelessness and worthlessness. My parents are always arguing and at each other's throat 24/7. Every day I get criticized and called fat, ugly, lazy, that I walk ugly and I eat too loudly. I feel trapped and stuck, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Wow, that is an awful place to live in. Your parents are very clearly taking advantage of you, but I don't think you need to tell me that. It kind of seems like you know what's going on. And sure, you got guilt-tripped into buying this house with them and being a co-borrower and like getting all this stuff for them, but here's the thing, you can right that wrong by moving out if you really want to. Now, I don't know the legality of all of this, so maybe talk with like a real estate lawyer of some kind, but seriously, if I was in your shoes, I would start the process of moving out and moving on with my life. They are literally guilt-tripping you into staying in that house just so you can pay for literally everything, because you've got it right. They're using you as an ATM and a retirement plan. They suck at managing their money, so they're forcing you to do it at the age of 27. And trust me when I say this, you do not deserve that. This is all literally at your detriment, and I guarantee you if you move out, you will feel so much better. I know I would, especially if I was getting treated like garbage in the way you're getting treated. And you know what? If they really want to be like, wow, if you don't help us with this, our mood is going to be awful and our retirement is going to be ruined. Well then congratulations, you ruined your own retirement. Like all that stuff about them shifting blame onto your shoulders, it is all ridiculous and I would not put up with that for a second. So honestly, I wish you the best in this endeavor because the way your family is treating you is so selfish and uncalled for. You do not deserve this kind of treatment in the slightest. And I hope for your own happiness this all gets worked out sooner than later. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My grandmother feels entitled to my inheritance money that I got from my passed away mother. And after receiving several of her awful comments, I'm now left at a crossroad and I seriously now don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so my mom passed away about a year and 4 months ago, and I was listed as the sole beneficiary for her 401k and life insurance. So I received everything. Plus, before she passed away, she had terminal cancer, so she directly told me that she wanted me to have everything, and even talked to me about taking money out of her 401k early before passing away to ensure that I would receive it. After my mom's death, my grandma has acted entitled to my money on several different occasions and has expressed, along with my mom's partner, that they think the money should have been distributed amongst the family equally. I am my mother's only child, and my father passed years before her, so even if she didn't explicitly express her wish for me to receive the inheritance verbally, I would think that I'm meant to receive all of the inheritance, especially by the natural order of things. My grandmother texted me yesterday on Valentine's Day, all without wishing me a happy Valentine's Day or even a simple hello first. She just told me that I forgot to cash a $700 healthcare refund check that my mom received after her death and said that she sure could have used the money for her federal taxes if she knew I was going to lose the money. Dealing with probate after my mom's death was very stressful alongside the grief, and it was never my intention to forget to cash a check, obviously. And I guess I understand her mentality that the money is useful and should be utilized, but it really bugs me the way that she came at me and the fact that she feels entitled enough to say that she could have used it for her taxes when the money isn't hers whatsoever. That call isn't even hers to make. I am the PR on my mom's estate, and why would the money be used to pay for her federal taxes? I honestly don't really know how to respond to her, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Honestly, your grandma can feel however she wants to feel. Right now, she's just trying to guilt trip you into giving her money. That's all this is about. Your mom clearly knew what she was doing in giving you the money, because clearly this is how your grandmother's gonna act when she doesn't have money. And that's really unfortunate because this is the last thing you need on your plate. Things are already hard enough as it is, and the last thing you need is to be pressured by your grandmother, all because she's missing out on free money as she sees it. So if I was in your shoes, I would just ignore that message and not even look back, because your grandmother is being very toxic right now, and you do not deserve that in the slightest. Am I the jerk for not wanting my fiance's ex in his wedding party? Because right now he is planning to include her despite my protest, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 27-year-old female, and my fiance is 33 years old. We have been dating for about 4 years now and engaged last year. Prior to us dating, my fiance dated his childhood best friend for 8 years. We'll call her Elizabeth, that's not her real name. They were briefly engaged before calling it off, and from what I was told, they decided to break it off because they were getting married for the wrong reasons. They were planning to get married because it was the next step, and that since their families were best friends, he needed to marry her. After they broke off the engagement, they remained friends. Since the beginning of our relationship, I knew that Elizabeth was in my fiance's family's lives. Elizabeth and my fiance's moms are best friends. She is also best friends with his younger sister, and my fiance and her are friends with the same social circle. I don't have a problem with Elizabeth and her friendship with my fiance. I actually like her as a person, and I would also consider her a friend. However, there are times when we hang out that I really do feel left out. I feel almost like a third wheel, and this is because of their inside jokes and shared childhood stories. I have always tried to be open-minded about their friendships since he assured me that they are only friends, and I do trust the both of them. My fiance and I are now finalizing our wedding party. Since both of us have best friends who are the opposite sex, we agreed that it's okay to have the opposite sex in our own wedding party. Well, I told him who I wanted to ask to be in my wedding party, and he mentioned to me that it would mean a lot to him to have his sister be a part of my wedding party. Now, I get along with his sister well enough, so I agreed to include her. When he listed his wedding party, he mentioned Elizabeth, and when he did that, I was taken aback. I told him that I wasn't comfortable with having her be in the wedding party. I told him that I am more than happy to have her attend the ceremony and the reception, and that she can sit with his family and be in the family pictures. However, that wasn't good enough for him. He said that it's his wedding party and that it was his decision who's going to be in it, that I have the right to choose my own wedding party, so he should be able to choose whoever he likes. I told him that's not fair because I'm not having my high school sweetheart in my wedding party. This is becoming a huge fight between us, and he said he is putting his foot down and Elizabeth is going to be in his wedding party. I told him that I will not budge on this. Out of anger, I told him to choose. It's going to be me or her. If she's in the wedding party, then I won't be standing in the altar. He responded by telling me that I was acting crazy and that he's going to stay with his brother until I calm down and be reasonable. Well, it's been 3 days now, and he texted me twice since the fight. First, to ask me if I've calmed down and if I was ready to be reasonable, and the second to ask me if I agreed with his wedding party list. I told him my answer is still no, and that I don't know if I can let this one go. So honestly, am I the jerk here? What should I do? Honestly, I completely understand where you're coming from. I don't think you're the jerk in this scenario, and I think your fiance is being very unreasonable for having his ex in his wedding party. And this is not just his ex, this is his ex-fiance. They were gonna get married. I don't know about you, but if I was in the original poster shoes, I would feel really awkward about having them in the wedding party. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but it really just would not make me very comfortable at all. Now, I don't think the ultimatum was a good idea. I think that only increased the tension between the two of you, and I definitely would have chosen against that if I was in your shoes, but I think your boundaries are all still the same. And also, why is he fighting so hard to have her in his party? This is your wedding as as well after all, isn't it? Like if my fiance was like, no, I don't want them in your wedding party, I would be like, oh, okay, I just won't invite them. Like it really would be that simple. So in my opinion, I don't think you're the jerk. I really do think that it's ludicrous that he's digging in the way that he is, and it clearly shows that his priorities are completely mixed up. My entitled friend intentionally tried to make me feel sad, all because I was alone on Valentine's Day. And I'm honestly not sure what to make of the situation, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so both my friend and I are in relationships. I'm engaged to the love of my life, but with that, we have to be apart for a bit. My fiance and I are doing the K1 fiance visa, so we have to be apart for a year max, but luckily the government is making it go by fast, so it most likely will be under a year. And trust me, the long distance is hard on the both of us. But you know what? We're making it work. Luckily, I have a lot of work vacations, and I'm seeing him on Sunday for a whole week in London, and then in August, I'm spending a month in his home country of South Korea. Now, my friend is in a toxic on and off again relationship. They are honestly a match made in Hades. She has told me her boyfriend was cheating on her with a lesbian, and she made these claims for a while. Now, regarding cheating, she has said that he was going to cheat on her during her birthday. But even with all the cheating, they always seem to get back together. She goes from telling me how horrible he is to being the happiest girl alive. Well, since today is Valentine's Day, I encourage myself to not give it too much thought, so I won't make myself sad that my fiance isn't here today. We FaceTime, made a lovely Instagram post, and told each other how much we love each other. I planned just to have the night to myself, maybe watch a horror movie and just have some popcorn. But that's when my friend called me, and I knew right away that she would be bragging about her plans. When I answered the phone, she said to me, "Hey girl, I'm just checking in on you since you don't have Valentine's Day with your man." And I said to her, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. I honestly don't care since I'm seeing him in a few days." Now, luckily the conversation changed, but she kept going into detail about Valentine's Day. But I just told myself to let her have this and to let her go off. But I started to feel like she was playing it up just to try and hurt my feelings, like it really did feel extra. She told me that her boyfriend bought her a $300 ring, that they were going for dinner and all this other stuff. Now, it was fine initially, but she kept repeating herself. Then she said to me that she feels sorry for me that I'm alone on Valentine's Day. And that really hurt to hear, but I just said I don't really care. I guess I tried to push the narrative that I don't care, but then her brother walked past and she asked him what his Valentine's Day plans were. He said his plans are doing nothing, and she went off on him saying that she feels bad that he's doing nothing for Valentine's Day, and she couldn't imagine being alone for Valentine's Day. Her brother just kept repeating himself by telling her the holiday isn't for him, and he doesn't care about it at all. Funny enough, a few days ago, my friend was telling me that she fears her boyfriend won't do anything for Valentine's Day, since according to her, he's not telling her what type of gift he wants, and then proceeded to get upset because she didn't want to buy him an Xbox. He also told her that Valentine's Day is a white person holiday, and blamed white people for taking his money. I told my fiance about this, and he said he thinks she's doing it intentionally to hurt my feelings, and to make me feel upset or jealous. My fiance has pointed out that she has done stuff like this before, and he's not surprised that she would do it again. I tried so hard not to let it affect me, but in a way it really does. So I don't really know if I'm being sensitive, or if this is actually intentional, because at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were doing it intentional. They were obviously trying to make you feel jealous, all because you didn't have your fiance on Valentine's Day. Like, that's the only reason she called you up. She was just trying to make you jealous. And I guarantee you, she's the type of friend where if you did that to her, that would be devastating to her and she would not know what to do. It's one of those like glass cannon fragile types who can really put salt in the wound and like add to the fire, if you will. But the second you turn that on them, they just absolutely crumble. So if I was in your shoes, I would just brush that off and pay her no mind. She clearly has a thing for making people feel like garbage, and if anything, it just proves the kind of person she really is, and hopefully would inform your decision of hanging out with her in the future. Am I the jerk for announcing my adoption publicly on social media, even though I didn't tell my biological mother yet? Because right now, a lot of people are very upset, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I'm a 19-year-old male, and I was recently adopted. And yes, this is an adult adoption, and I had many reasons to want this, but it first requires some background. My biological father was married before he met my biological mother. He had 3 daughters with his first wife, and when the younger 2 were still babies, his first wife became ill, and for 5 years, the oldest of the 3 was taking care of her sick mother and raising her younger sisters while she was still only a child herself. The biological father went off the rails when his first wife got sick and started drinking heavily and abandoned his family when they needed him the most. 3 months after his first wife died, the 3 girls were taken from him. Then they separated the oldest from her youngest sisters because she was refusing to let someone else parent them, and they worried it would chase away families for the younger 2. They found a family long term, but the oldest was bounced around. My biological family met, and then he decided to take custody of his oldest back. My biological mother knew the background and was aware that my biological father was a drunk. She was aware that he lost his kids and abandoned them long before they were taken, and this is since he was given rights to visit them occasionally. He got his oldest back, but of course she was angry and bitter at her father, as well as at my biological mother. Both of my biological parents knew how she felt, and guess what they did? Well, that's right, they had me. She hated me, and I remember my biological father asking her why she didn't show me the same love and affection that she did the other girls. His daughter would ask me, why would I love it? Why should I show it affection? She and my biological father fought a lot. She ran away a lot. She got into trouble way before I could even remember, but I still heard about it later in life. And this is because she tried to take her sisters away from their foster family. My parents were the only people there for me and who saw how messed up it was to have me when they had that mess going on. My biological family only got married a few years after I was born, and there's a photo where they drag my biological father's oldest to the wedding, and that photo says exactly how she felt about it. My biological father drank a lot by the time his daughter left the house for good, and he started drinking and blamed it on the fights between him and his daughter. My biological mother would act like I didn't remember anything, and yet would tell me I had 3 sisters all the time. She always denied that it had an impact on me. But I had my parents, and at the age of 15, I moved in with them unofficially, and then they agreed to adopt me as an adult if I went to therapy for a year, just to be sure that it was really what I wanted and that I wasn't using it for an unhealthy reason. It was official a couple of weeks ago, and I announced it on social media. Well, my biological mother was so upset. My extended family on that side were really mad that my mom betrayed her sister like that, and they were mad at me for making the big social media reveal. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? Honestly, I don't think you're the jerk at all. You were just announcing something that was really important to you, and you had every right to do that online if you wanted to. So no, I don't think you're the jerk, and I think their reaction and the fact that they feel betrayed is completely unreasonable. Am I the jerk for paying my mother-in-law as well as buying her a ticket home after she was no help for helping my wife and I with our brand new kid? Because at this point, I'm being called a jerk, and I now seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my wife and I just welcomed our first and likely only child at Christmas time. My mother-in-law came to stay with us and tried to help, but here's the thing. She was not helpful at all. She constantly disagreed with how we were doing things. She did nothing around the house except help the baby, so my wife ended up doing a bunch of housework instead of relaxing. I would get home to an exhausted wife and her mom who fought me for time with my kid. I would make dinner for the 3 of us and do what I could to get stuff done around the house before passing out and starting over the next day. I tried talking to my wife about it, but she won't stand up to her mom. I tried talking to her mom, and she said she's not here to be our maid, and she's only here to help out the baby. So you know what? I got sick of it, and I booked her a ticket home. 3 days before the flight, I thanked her for all her help, and I told her that we would take care of it from here. Well, needless to say, she was angry. She says that I'm ungrateful for everything that she is doing for us, and that she took time off of work to help out. She started crying about it on social media, and some of her friends and family were joining in saying that I was unappreciative. She drives old people around to make appointments, and she makes about $2,000 a month. I mean, it's not even a full-time job. So I gave her $3,000 and said that we appreciate that she lost wages by helping, so that should cover any expenses that she made. I commented on all of her posts that she had been paid for her time, and I thanked everyone who reminded me that she had lost money to help us. Well, she is back home now and whining that she cannot see her grandbaby every day. My wife thanked me for handling it, but some people are now saying I was heartless for making it all about money. So I'm honestly convinced that I can't win, but I don't think I'm the jerk like my mother-in-law is saying. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? Because at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Your mother-in-law was being obnoxious in your house. She wasn't doing exactly what she was supposed to do, and instead used that as time to only look at the baby. It's like, I'm sorry, yeah, the baby's there, but we need help with like all this other stuff. You've got to be kidding, right? Like you're working all day just for her to sit around with a baby. Meanwhile, your wife is exhausted after, I don't know, giving birth, and your mother-in-law isn't doing anything to help. So in my opinion, I don't think you're the jerk. She She very clearly had her priorities mixed up, and she wasn't going to help out in the way that she should have been helping. And I also think it's good that you gave her $3,000 so you could literally shut everybody up when it comes to the money issue. And I think you're right. Regardless of what you do, I don't think you're going to win. But at least you can shut down that garbage about you not paying her. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.